Sadika, you're watching Now at Noon, the English news here on Now 26 with me, Chao. As we come to a close for this week, out of a lot of reactions to the various negative downgrades from the United States and the EU, now we really have to take a look at the reality, and that is there are consequences to the political instability here in the kingdom. As we've seen here, the negative growth for advertising in 2014 has been announced by the Thai authorities, and also recently a research company of Nielsen of Thailand, which has reported that advertising for Thailand for 2014 is set to be at negative. In fact, year-on-year expenditure for the advertising in May has decreased to 8.58 billion baht from 9.71 billion baht in 2013. For the rest of 2014, advertising will be at a negative growth of a minus 2.2% from that of 3.5% according to Magna Global. However, Magna Global says key corporations and brands are resuming marketing plans and advertising spending amid improved political and economic situations 1 month after the military seized power from the elected government. At least 2% increase in television advertising expenditure during the month after the military seized power has been reported compared with the month previous. This is a key indicator of the overall advertising market, as TV accounts for about 60% of total ad spending. Key sectors including consumer products, banking and financial services, real estate and modern trade are turning their focus to the advertising and corporate communication strategy. As for exports here, it doesn't look good, and it seems as if the original target of around 3.5% for Thailand for 2014 is not going to be the target really. As now for the first 5 months of the year's trade, we've seen that there has been a negative growth of 1.2%. The exports for the first 5 months has edged down by 1.2% year on year to 92.86 billion US dollars, or up by 8.3% to 2.22 trillion baht. Last month alone, exports dropped 2.1% for the third straight month to about 19.5 billion US dollars, or upwards by 9.8%, or around 621 billion baht. In the first 5 months, major products are facing falling prices despite the high export volume, include rubber, up 9.5% by volume, but down by 11.8% by value. And exports are likely to miss this year's growth target, as I just mentioned, of 3.5% because of the lower market prices of farm goods and low volume of many agricultural industry products. The International Trade Promotion Department Director General Nantawan Sakun Tawanak says the average shipments in the remaining months need to grow by at least 5% or 20 billion US dollars a month if Thailand wants to achieve the export growth target of 3.5%. However, the Commerce Ministry has not yet lowered its export growth for this year as its goal, as it is still optimistic that shipments will return back to normal in the remaining months. The ministry says that the downgrade of the trafficking in persons from the United States will not affect the trade because they are very much assured that the private sector will do all it can really to clarify the information with its partners. And as that continues on, let's take a look at the performance of Thailand in terms of foreign direct investment compared to our ASEAN neighbors. The United Nations has recently came out with a report. Thailand is in the top 5 Asia markets that is attractive, but we are falling behind very attractive now, Indonesia. Indonesia is the biggest economy here in the ASEAN region, and because of its stability in politics, it is now gaining a lot of headway with foreigners. Despite Thailand being in the top of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development's top 5 recipients of foreign development investment in the region, Indonesia is right now around 19 billion US dollars, while Thailand has an inflow of 13 billion US dollars as projects have been shelved due to the political situation. Indonesia is becoming more attractive to foreign investors for its stable political status and better growth as the biggest economy, and it has really brought reforms raising FDI ceilings by enabling key initiatives to be wholly owned by foreign companies. Now, for the first time, this is very significant because this has always been the criticism towards the country that it has been very protective. But now public partnerships has been enabled for seaport developments to be 100% foreign owned, replacing the prior restriction of about 49% limit. Singapore, in the meantime, though, is in the lead with mega deals in 2013, bringing foreign investment to $64 billion US. China, a record high of $124 billion, and Hong Kong at $77 billion US. Well, with that, we have to face the reality that Thailand is going to have to really learn from its lessons, and now recently had a very interesting talk with an former, or you could say, finance minister here in Thailand, Kun Thanong Phithiya. He mentioned that there are a lot of opportunities for the private sector, but we really have to listen to criticisms in terms of working on transparency.
This Peace and Order Committee, they have been very serious about trying to change the country, to try to get rid of corruption, and to try to reform the laws and prepare for a more democratic, a truly democratic election. So that is beneficial for the private sector. So I think it is the private sector's duty to be able to gather all the recommendations and all the international rule of laws that should be applied during the next democratic elections and for the reform of all the laws needed against corruption. It is normal that the US and EU will have some kind of sanction, but it is not, to me, it's not a strong sanction. It is just an announcement that they would prefer to see democratic elections as soon as possible, rather than residing with this military government. So even though they feel that the change might be necessary, they would urge that the roadmap be clear, transparent, and be practiced as soon as possible so that the democratic election can be held. I think it's their way of doing things, that it's an agreement among OECD countries that they will not support dictatorial governments or military governments anywhere.
There you go. Those are the comments from Dr. Thanong Phithiya, the former Thai finance minister there. And with that, we have to take a short break. But up next, we'll talk about relationships between India and Thailand during this political crisis.